The Bitcoin price was able to rise a bit. Bullish news, great news from the world. And even Deutsche Bank acknowledges, hey, Bitcoin isn't that bad. And a super cool, great bonus for you. Hey, and welcome to the crypto. Yes, finally a shorter intro again. Last time it was always a bit more difficult. Yes, we have great news about Bitcoin, and there are also great news from the world. And that could make the market feel positive again. First, let's go in, and we always start with the price. And the price of Bitcoin, yes, it was able to recover a bit in the last few days. We are on the daily chart. Since the 11th March, yes, except for one day here, the red candle. But we have to honestly say it feels like the 15th March and also the 14th March, 2 days where you say, hey, one day, and today the second, although the Americans are just waking up in that sense. Without any cool mill tariff, IFAR's announcement, and it is also slightly affecting the price right now. In general, if we just look at the Bitcoin price, I have repeatedly said in the last videos that one must also look at what is happening in the stocks. And the stocks were able to recover a bit by Friday, and we are also seeing a bit of a recovery here on Friday. And we see exactly this recovery directly in Bitcoin as well. And if you just saw that drop in the S&P 500, we saw it here. And it has, of course, also impacted Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, it might have been a bit earlier if I open the Bitcoin chart here. I would almost say that Bitcoin fell a bit earlier. Or maybe let's take it here. If we overlay the charts, the S&P fell here and here, but Bitcoin was also up there at one point. In that sense, we still see this correlation, even if it's not 100%. But at the moment when the S&P 500 turns green on Friday, can we also expect a green weekend for Bitcoin? And it looks the same in general with stocks. Still, the crypto stock of Coinbase was not positive because there are currently some issues surrounding Coinbase. Nasty claims because people say, hey, I want to invest in crypto, but there's only one custodian. And I should rely on just one person or one market participant, and no one else can do it. It needs more people who also manage the Bitcoin spot ETFs. So it needs more custodians, not just Coinbase. And that's currently a big topic in the USA. And then you can, of course, imagine if there is a custodian who also has stocks, then everything is fine. As long as people invest in Bitcoin, he benefits. But if suddenly people say, no, there needs to be another custodian, you can, of course, imagine that the stocks might react a bit negatively. And that's exactly what happened here. So currently, it looks, well, good actually, but we don't know yet. When will the next penalty announcement come? And is it really just a green weekend? And next week it goes down again. One can be curious. Generally, a quick look at the market, a mixed bag, you could say. A mixed bag. There are some that have fallen a bit more. There are some that have slightly risen. And you can see here some that have turned red. So, a mixed bag. Now let's move on to the news from the world, or rather, around Bitcoin. And these are actually very positive. One of the most bullish things right at the beginning. Namely, the Trump administration, or rather the government of Donald Trump, insists that they want to buy Bitcoin. Let's dive in. Bitcoin Magazine has also written about it, even though it's from Decrypt here. But it must be said, if Bitcoin Magazine posts it, it carries some weight. A White House official says they intend to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. And that's pretty crazy. So they want to, and you also have to think back to what Michael Saylor said. He presented them with a plan suggesting how much Bitcoin they should own. There was talk of 3 to 5 million, which is quite something. You have to consider 3 million Bitcoin, that's quite a figure. 5 million is almost a quarter of the market. Let's assume that really 2 to 3 million Bitcoin have already left the market in the sense that people simply can't find their keys anymore. Because back then, it was just a bit different. You had 10,000 Bitcoin for a transaction made because you said 10,000 Bitcoin. That's maybe $1,000 or a bit later, $10,000. Back then, the transactions were just a bit larger. Yes, and then people just lost them. Through hard drive changes, through computer changes, so through hardware changes, they might have lost their keys because, as mentioned, it was a bit more difficult back then. Today, it's easier with hardware wallets like Tangem, Ledger, and so on. And in the past, you sometimes had paper wallets or it was stored on your hard drive. So it just wasn't that easy. And that's why there are still wallets or wallets that are no longer accessible, meaning the keys are gone. And a quarter of all Bitcoin, possibly even a bit more due to the lost Bitcoin, that's a significant figure for a government, but also for the government. So absolutely bullish news, and as mentioned, we can be very excited. I already mentioned it in one of the last videos. Doge is a big topic there, meaning Department of Government Efficiency. So that's really crazy. Something is also happening in Germany, and slowly people are starting to rethink, I feel, whether it's the topic of digital assets or digital assets. We might also think of that Oliver Kahn commercial for the digital airspace. Because at some point, more drones will fly over you. And that's your airspace. And you could then charge taxes or customs if a drone flies over. No matter if it's something like this, where advertising is done, where people then start. Something could happen there, and people might really invest and secure their airspace so that one day they can tax or impose customs on drones flying over their house. Crazy world, I'm telling you. But Deutsche Bank, they might be getting sensible and not so crazy anymore, as they are currently rethinking things a bit. Deutsche Bank says Bitcoin is like gold, and the strategic Bitcoin reserve of the USA could set international standards. And that's exactly the point that all of us, no matter which YouTuber, no matter which Bitcoin advocate, are saying. If the USA takes this path and really says at some point, look, we are now investing $1 million in Bitcoin every month, or every month. $1 billion, who knows? I have no idea what dimension is possible, but one thing is clear. If they invest in Bitcoin, meaning actively buy, it might not be announced immediately, but it will be relatively quick and involve a lot of money. Because the moment the USA announces it and says, look, we are now actively buying here, Bitcoin, other countries will jump on board. The price will rise and they will get less Bitcoin for their money. And they want to have a lot of Bitcoin relatively quickly. Keep that in mind. These are absolutely bullish news, and even Deutsche Bank has recognized that. And this might also lead to a small change in thinking in Germany. A little bit. Let's see. Let's continue with Katie Wood. You might know Katie Wood, the head of ARK Invest. She has bought back extremely aggressively, one must say. Here she is. List, or rather this confusing graphic from Arkham, but here we see that they have bought back massively in the last few days. Take a look at how many Bitcoins have gone into ARK Invest here. Yes, that's also through the ETFs, but to be honest, they are naturally preparing to be able to issue Bitcoin through the ETFs. So, do they know something that we don't? Why was there such massive buying by Katie Wood, the head? She herself probably didn't click it, but why was there such massive buying? Bullish, absolutely bullish. And is Katie Wood generally bullish? Actually, yes, and also on Bitcoin, to be quite honest. And that could be a very positive sign that something big is coming. Probably. Then the big topic, the USA actively entering Bitcoin purchases. And believe me, then we will quickly see $100,000 again. Speaking of price, there are always scenarios, and Michael Saylor posted a graphic here. In the last videos, I have also repeatedly shown such graphics, layering them and so on. Michael Saylor is doing that now too. And Michael Saylor went ahead and said this. In 2020, we saw this dip or this larger sell-off. And we saw that in 2025 as well. Yes. Could it be the case now that it rises again? And imagine if it really goes to where it is. Look, that would be above here. Look at what number is here. 440,000 US dollars. Can you imagine that? I'll stay a bit pessimistic and say, if we head towards 150,000, that's quite positive. Unless the USA says we are now buying for $1 billion every month, then I believe that there will be no stopping the Bitcoin price. So even Michael Saylor is now coming around with charts and wants to show that Bitcoin has a great future, especially in terms of price, of course. If we compare the chart here, it has been fluctuating a bit back and forth over a few months. This was all in September, and then around early October it went up. We are now in March ourselves. Let's remember, a summer slump is also still ahead. So it might drag on a bit longer, unless, as mentioned, the USA actively buys and announces it. That would be the most bullish scenario. Currently, our friends from BitMart, they are celebrating a birthday. Hey, 7 years of BitMart and you can benefit here. Very cool event. I've already seen it. I think I've already shared it too. It's been going on for a few days already, but it will still run for almost 10 more days in total. So check it out. Here is again their milestone of the BMX, their own token. And you can join this community to not miss anything, whether on Telegram or also Twitter or X. There is a raffle here. Check it out. It's really cool. You can win a car. Here, an SU7 Ultra. I don't even know which brand. You probably know better than I do. then there are many things to win here, whether NFTs, whether they are worth anything, you don't know. Spot vouchers. And of course, also future bonuses, and generally more bonuses. For that, you need to generate a bit of trading volume here. That's $1,000, let's be honest. Spot trading for $1,000. If you just say now, I might want to buy a Bitcoin, then $1,000, this is probably nothing. Then here, trading volume, futures, trading tasks, and so on. And then you get these tickets here and you can participate in it. Bitmarkets in general, you can shop relatively easily by simply purchasing with crypto and debit card here. For example, you say, I want to invest these $1,000 here and need these USDT for it. Currently, shopping is very cheap because the euro to dollar exchange rate is very low. So, buying is very good, paying back is not so great right now. Then you can buy spot here, but of course also trade futures, as you can see here. Whether it's demo trading, Coinbase, going long on Bitcoin with Bitcoin, or even with stable coins going long here. No matter which cryptocurrencies, you can do that here. And of course also the spot trading very easily. They have listed over 1,100 cryptocurrencies. Feel free to check it out. And you can then buy the whole spot here and of course also send it to your hardware wallet. BitMart. 7 years and really cool event. I love these lucky things. And maybe you have a chance to win a cool car. Feel free to check it out. 7 years of BitMart, 10 days left. Use the link in the video description or the pinned comment to receive additional benefits at .e8 BitMart. Let's move on to the news from around the world, or rather short news. And the short news for Bitcoin are sometimes a bit longer. The Blocktrainer team has reported, and this is no secret, they have said it often before, but now there seems to be, yes, the first transactions where the whole thing is documented. And indeed, it's crazy, according to people who reported it. There are Russian companies using Bitcoin, Affirm, and stablecoins for oil trading with China and India. You have to think about that. So oil is being traded for us, Bitcoin, Affirm, and stablecoins. Stablecoins make absolute sense to me. Now, with the digital euro on the horizon, you can also trade with stablecoins here. Completely fine. But Bitcoin and Affirm, which also fluctuate in price, that's interesting, and that's quite positive. But one must be honest, Russia has been somewhat pushed in this direction. Due to the sanctions, the loss of credit cards, and the exclusion from the SWIFT banking system, or rather, the international banking system, one must honestly say, they were somewhat pushed in a direction where they needed alternatives. They relatively quickly set up their own banking system, or rather, payment system. I mean, they are now back in the credit card data system. But feel free to correct me. So, you were pushed in this direction and sought an alternative, set up your own banking system, and found another alternative with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, which you are now actively using. That is positive, and one must be honest, it's nice to see when the whole thing is also used in the form of payments. Then I found something interesting here from Cointelegraph. I had to laugh a little because I still have to laugh again. I'll show you this now, and then we'll see if you see the same thing as I do. They posted this picture. BlackRock has now bought 300 more Bitcoin. And I'm thinking, wow, 300 Bitcoin. First of all, probably peanuts for BlackRock, but amazing, they bought 300 Bitcoin. Yes, they also sold AO 300. Do you understand what I mean? So, not sold in that sense. Well, okay, maybe it was bought as a Coinbase Prime deposit. But in the end, what they purchased definitely outweighs what they sold. Sent out, but at first, for me, it was like, yes, they bought 300, but previously sold 300. Well, let's take a look at the Black Wallet, and it appears that they currently have, yes, a lot of Bitcoin, specifically 567,888 Bitcoin. And then, of course, there's the decimal point. Then we have here 1.27 million Affirm. That's quite a statement about what BlackRock has here. But let's remember, this is, of course, also with the IBITs. Here we can take a closer look at the IBIT. This is the Bitcoin. Let's go into it. And this IBIT, Bitcoin ETF holds 281,237 Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Remember, the period and comma are reversed here. Yes, so there's a bit more in this case. But the screenshot here, you bought 300 and sent 300 before, was a topic where I say, okay, maybe you just sent it back and forth in this case. Because, well, it's always a day ago, but I had to chuckle for a moment. I hope you did too. Then it continues, the topic of Bitcoin and paying its taxes. We've heard it repeatedly. And now there's a new state in the USA preparing a bill, namely Minnesota. They want to make it possible for you to, if you are a citizen in Minnesota, to pay your taxes in Bitcoin. So this way, they could also continue to accumulate Bitcoin. Let's remember, there are also many states in the USA working on a Bitcoin reserve. And if you pay your taxes in Bitcoin here, why not just keep them? Yes, so exciting, exciting, exciting what's happening right now. And very nice topic. I have to show you this. I find it very nice. That's why it has to be included at the end of the video. And this is it. Wow. There was a drone. Fireworks with the Bitcoin symbol. And that's pretty cool. The largest Bitcoin symbol with drones, not in China or somewhere, but in Austin, Texas, at the Guinness World Records with Gemini. Yes, that's a nice drone show. Maybe not 100% the original or the logo we know. More like a coin, but definitely bet chic in this case. So, cool thing. I wanted to bring it up again. Yes, at the end of the video, a very brief look at crypto. We've already seen it in my watch list. Mixed bag, I think we can agree on that, right? If we look at the last 7 days, then Bitcoin with only a 3.23% decrease is actually still positive there. Overall, it looks relatively good, doesn't it? So, new surprises up here. PI has shot up here to rank 11. A big surprise, definitely. But also, we see it here. At the moment, it's not looking good because, of course, there are sell-offs. The people who have been holding PI forever and now finally have the token, they will naturally sell as well. In general, as I said, a mixed bag. The week is ahead of us. The week could be good. I am very curious. In general, it can only be said that there are positive news globally. No matter where you look, in the USA, also suddenly in Germany, Deutsche Bank, what's going on there? These are positive news. And let's also remember the statement from Christine Lagarde. They want the savers' money and convert it for investments. That means they want your money. Why wouldn't you want to protect and secure your money in Bitcoin and also save it from inflation? So, at the moment, it makes sense to buy Bitcoin as a European citizen. Otherwise, the evil Christine Lagarde will come, or rather, Ursula von der Leyen, and take it away from your savings. So, it remains very exciting to see how everything will continue. There are definitely bullish signs, even if the price isn't cooperating right now, but the price could be a good opportunity to buy in here. Feel free to check everything out on BitMart and then also buy Bitcoin there to take advantage of these opportunities. That makes sense right now. It's a cool action. Check it all out. In this sense, I say thank you very much for watching. I don't need to say like, subscribe and so on. Until the next video.